and now they made it a day off.
Cause I was just thinking it's gonna be a delay.
Well, I think that they didn't take this decision lightly, because now they've pulled from spring break.
Oh,
Unless they plan on going to some other strategy. Not having school today means that one of the days of spring break is now school day. Spring break trips. Just gonna miss school.
you sure this decision's in?
No, absolutely not. Kevin, we're live streaming, but we don't have quorum yet, so I'm just gonna turn off the sound.
Oh, okay, I'm not, yeah. Yeah,
We'll
okay.
be there in a minute.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, you do have a forum. Hey. So we're live or we're live? Okay, Jen's here. She was here. Eli is not here, and so yet. Tara is here. Kevin is remote, but attending.
I have not heard from Eli. I saw him last night, he will be here, right?
And Casey's here. So we have no guests and the meeting started at 8:05. All right. I have no modifications to the agenda, but I'll talk a little bit about how we'll handle evaluating the uploads. We'll get to there. So after the modifications, the meeting minutes, did everyone get a chance to look at them? I didn't see anything that didn't move correctly. Did anyone else?
Oh, it's very, very simple, but under 7C, the second line says CFAB, which should be CPAB. Thanks, Kevin. You're muted, by the way, which is okay, but I understand what you're saying.
Can you unmute?
You're muted. Can you hear us? Oh, okay.
All right. Okay. So I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Casey, second. All in favor, raise your hand. So it's unanimous. The real estate transfer tax report, we have two
We have two.
spreadsheets here.
Yes, so they're different. One of them is, you need the year end from 2025. I may have gone over this in January, but there have been some updates, so I wanted you to have the final. So the one that's fully populated on the blue side is the year end from 2025. I now have all of the city interest, that was accrued. So this is now the most factual data for 2025. So at the end of 2025, the total revenue was 473,090.43, 473,090.43. So we ended up accruing $102.90 worth of interest from the city, $11.18 of interest from the county. So I just wanted you to all have that in one place, nothing big to review on it. Just have you go pay that. So the other one is going to be this year's tracking sheet. I took the year end 2025 total on the top, the year end 2025 average on the top, average month, so you can just compare month over month if you want to. And then building into January. So January, the total sales in the city were $12,543,502 with 46 transfers, 12 of which paid into the tax, which is 26%. The average real estate transfer tax transaction was $1,916.61. Sorry, 1 second. Dealing with snow day stuff, which is what I'm sure Eli is also dealing with. The total real estate transfer tax amount that we received in January was $22,975. And then we did have some county and city interest, making the total revenue in January of $22,999.34. And so our fund is currently up to $496,089.77. And then you can see on the back what it looks like January to January. Keeping in mind that last January, there were many contracts that were like, grandfathered, or, yeah, like, yeah, free tax. Any questions on that?
No, we'll come back to it when we, look at the right of it.
And if I may to see the list, I'll send that around. No, everyone who was eligible to pay the tax paid it.
Okay, here is initially going to be the list, the parts of prioritization.
Yeah, so I've been working on that. I did get your data merged finally with the CPP values, which is good. One of the things I tried to print out maps today, but I couldn't figure out where they were saving the PDF on my computer. Folders. Anyway, GIS technical weirdness lately, but basically, for some reason, there were about 100 or so parcels that for some reason the value just didn't update.
Mhm.
And so those values are just turned to number 999 now, so that on the CPP, so that if one of those parcels come up, we can then see that, okay, it just didn't even register, so we have to go back and look and see what it was, instead of trying to go and manually update every single one of those. That's just what it is for now. We have, I'm looking at the map right now, but we have, it is defined better. I'm still waiting to get from Scenic Hudson the data that they used for the disadvantaged communities, because the one that was downloadable was missing a good chunk of the city of Kingston. And
But that is the case.
that is the case even with Scenic Hudson's data, but they've had extra data.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm misunderstanding. Are you asking if the entire city is a disadvantaged community?
No,
Okay. Then I should.
the disadvantaged communities the webpage that Kayla had sent us to, a good chunk of that hasn't been mapped yet.
Oh, okay,
A good chunk of the city hasn't been mapped yet, so there was no data available
okay.
for that chunk. It just said no data. So, and a big chunk of that is actually where we have our, more than a quarter mile from the park. Right, so missing data is also an area that we have shown as not near any parks.
Mhm.
So for us, it's a park desert.
Okay.
So it would be good if that was mapped. So I'm hoping that Scenic Hudson has a little bit more detailed maps data that they put together from other sources. Otherwise, that part's not gonna help us very much. We're still at 700 parcels that are more than a quarter mile from any sort of park. And then let's see, it's similar to the other one. 649 parcels that are adjacent to power plants. So I didn't want to print out the tables for you because
All
it
right.
seemed a bit much.
That's fine. As long as some database, some GIS table exists.
It does, it's all in here, it's, you know. I think once we have, especially with Eli's, do we have that in here? No. Eli's sheets that he sent, yesterday, I was looking through that. I think, it seems like there were a couple different ways for parcels to be brought to us. And then we can go into our map and say, okay, that's in this region. Or if we want to bring something to the table, we can say, we need something in this area and here's the priority ones.
Are you working with a visual that can be brought up on the screen, or is it not necessary for us all to
I mean, I'd have to log into the Zoom. But I can. I don't know if it's gonna help you guys or not.
It's in your calendar.
Yep.
While that's happening, I just got a, note from Eli, he is not. He's sick, so he will not be here.
Right. Good. Yeah, I'm gonna log on to Zoom and I turned off my computer.
That is not. Bigger. So ignore the titles on everything up there because I just changed the title depending on which one I'm printing out at the moment. Although. So if you want the one that's adjacent, there's the ones that are all adjacent to public lands. And there's
Peachy color.
yeah, the various, yeah, that's the other thing. There's several ways to put transparency in there and I've got them all at 0, but they're still showing up as transparent. And like this, really some weird stuff. But yeah, the peach range with the brighter red. So you can see the, over here, that's the checked off one. So that's what we're looking at adjacent to public lands. Here's, the scores as fairly close to what they were before, in the other map. And then the values that didn't update, I made them a little bit brighter red, just so we could, it's like a red flag. Go and double check that one. If any of those come up. So those are the ones that are adjacent to public lands and you can see this is down here. That's I can bring it up, but that's the table for it. And you can see there's 649 in there.
Can you, make it so we can see the southern part of the city too?
Yeah. And I have this up, I have it on a different shaped screen, so it's and let me see. We'll use a mouse, should have got my mouse.
And Kara, this excludes the land trust properties. Am I correct?
Yes, the land trust properties are in the bright green, so.
Oh, they
if you
are.
see-
Oh, yeah, I see. They're included in
here.
public lands, in other words.
Yeah, I merged the
Okay,
Kingston Land
good.
Trust, the NCC, all NGO and government lands that I had
Got it.
know about. If there's some that I am unaware of, then I'll need that data, but I merged them together to try to exclude them from the calculation.
So is a golf course not considered public land?
That was one of the things that we were talking about in one of the other. I would say no, because there's actually, seems like lately a lot of golf courses that are going defunct and then the land's going to nonprofits.
Oh,
They're getting preserved. Right? What's.
but it also could go to
It
develop.
also could go to a developer. So there's one in, Hudson Highlands has one.
Okay, I guess so the assumption should be that just because it's a golf course now, doesn't mean it could always be a golf course.
Right.
Where,
The only one that I was wondering about more is, should we actually,
Cemeteries.
cemeteries, should we add the cemeteries into the merged protected lands? Because
Chances
then,
are they'll never change.
right. Right, there's a whole lot of other laws that are involving the cemeteries, so.
I would definitely include cemeteries and they're so happy, I think they're so rich in terms of tree types.
Oh, they are.
I would definitely.
Good for
recreation. And recreation, yeah.
Yeah.
I would definitely get cemeteries,
Okay.
but I understand about the
That
golf
was-
courses.
That was one of the questions that I had for people.
Yeah, so
So
like-
we touched on before, but we didn't really make
This parcel is a golf course,
that's
I think.
12 scale?
12 skill, yeah.
Oh, wait, maybe it's further down.
Well, there's the cemetery and the golf course and they're back to back,
Oh, right.
right? So
This actually could be the cemetery.
the golf course is actually, down. Where's this one? Right, cause
No.
there's,
No, because
they're up
this is,
here.
this is Chapel Street. Well, this is Wilbur Ave and this is Chapel. This is the train tracks.
Yep,
So you go up. This is West O'Reilly. So this is the golf course,
okay, right, it didn't
This-
get highlighted because it wasn't.
is the cemetery.
But they must have multiple parcels,
Who must have multiple parcels?
the golf course,
Oh, probably.
because the NCC
Yeah.
property is right here.
That's the road into the golf course.
Yeah, this, where my cursor is, NCC property spans CSX right here,
Yeah.
and they neighbor the golf course.
Yeah.
What's NCC?
Northeastern Cape Conservancy.
Oh,
Yeah, I think when we were doing the site visit on the NCC property years ago, I did it with Rena Buziak, and we walked right over the tracks. 'Cause I didn't realize that there was a tunnel next to the bridge. We walked over the tracks and ended up, I think it was on the 14th hole of the golf course. Yeah. They do have a wooded parcel over there.
Yep. So yeah, golf course is a potential for preservation, and that's the other question I had, like, there were some. For some reason, when I did the selection, of course, the couple pieces didn't select, like the one right in the middle there, the square in the middle, didn't select for some reason. And then another one down here,
It's not private.
it's not private, the little square.
There's 100 by 100 square.
Yeah.
No, I don't even know if it's 100 by 100. It could be just 100 square feet. It's very small. That is not part of the Kingston Wilderness.
Right,
So that's why it would not select. It's not preserved.
right. That's what I was
it
trying to select, the ones that were adjacent to public lands. And it's in the middle of a public land, and it
Right.
didn't get selected, so I
But
had
it
to
looks-
manually add it.
I see.
So, but that's part of my other thing, like, so, okay, I can then manually add in cause it's, if they have multiple parcels, that's why it didn't automatically select the big one. So I can manually add in the golf course as something that if they ever went bankrupt and decided to sell, which, hopefully they're okay, but if that happened, it could be considered as one of our things that we already have listed. And then I'll preserve I'll put the cemeteries in as preserved.
How is it categorized in the plan? So.
Oh, I can go look at the other one. Run. We have. Having a hard time seeing.
It has a significantly above average score.
Yeah, I would think so. The cursor's not cooperating, I'm sorry. It just keeps
No.
jumping. Anyways, so that's all of the data there.
This is great, but we have a GIS tool we can use.
Yeah,
This is great. We have a way to update the data. We know where to get
we can do that update whenever, once a year or whatever to update the parcel information. We need to, or every couple years, depending on how frequently we want to have that. You can get the data, right? So. I think it's good for, especially when if more pieces get protected, we need to add more green on there and then at the cemeteries.
We visually know where to focus our efforts. The
Yes,
source land preservation is.
yes.
Anything else?
No,
Great stuff.
I stop sharing and my computer. There I am.
Moving on to, did everyone get a chance to at least peruse this?
No.
No,
I can
you've not. Maybe we spend 2 minutes just kind of over.
also walk you through it, if that was.
That's good too. Is that fine, Jen?
Yeah.
All right.
And so you took the New Paltz application basically and just
I did a trial run on it.
amazing.
So this is this is if we were to use the new Pulse application. So Carol Lee had shared this with us. I didn't go looking for it. All of you all have it. But what you see is their exact layout. I added like the blue thing on the bottom, we made it bold and I added my answers, but the rest of it is exactly as they do it. So this is just also an opportunity to be like, well, that question is irrelevant, or we should also ask this question. I did add one question, and I'll tell you what that is when we get to it. So it starts with the actual instructions. This would, if the city were to use this, I suppose if you were to use this could be available on the website or made into a form. I was like, maybe I should just make it into a form. And I said, I'm not gonna go down the road to like try to create something if that's not desirable. But I inserted that if, just they have it as return it to their person in the vault, so I would just assume that the people would be returning these to me, my office. Of course, this makes it weird that I'm also now submitting one, but I did insert the all information will be confidential. They say the same thing, all information will be confidential. Used by the CPAC to review and evaluate the potential project. Once the form has been received and reviewed, the board member or rep will contact you to discuss the project further. If you have any questions, and I inserted my name as the staff liaison, any of this can be changed. On the top part, that would be like this part that doesn't get modified. All right, so then the date, the name of the private contractor is me, the name of the landowner is the city, which in this case finds a landowner, my contact information, and then they asked and I inserted how I prefer to be contacted, and I said either. So then they asked for a reason, and here's my reason. The city of Kingston has a laser focus on advancing open space preservation with the development of an NRI open space plan adopted in 2020, November, with an ambitious goals to preserve hundreds of acres of land, forge new trails, and improve public access to our natural resources, and the community preservation plan, conservation goals were established and outlined. In the summer and fall of 2025, the city had the opportunity to purchase a 70-acre tract of land for preservation. The acquisition would be the city's first open space purchase. The property in an area known as Roundup Uplands was identified in the city's open space plan as an area of natural value that was recommended for preservation. The goal of this land preservation was to continue to expand on the city's strategy for responsible stewardship of important natural resources, to protect the beautiful landscape, to maintain clean drinking water, protect natural habitats, provide more recreational opportunities, and position the city to mitigate impacts from future climate change threats. Forested land, which is known as Kingston Wilderness and now referred to as Rounded Uplands, comprising 7 parcels with combined area of 70 acres, was purchased by the city for $840,000 and closed in January 2025. This land has now become permanent parkland for future generations of Kingstonians. The city of Kingston also owns an adjacent 4.5 acre parcel with an abandoned single-family home and will be conducting a feasibility study for returning affordable housing. Returning. Oh, I would say returning, but maybe returning is the right word, affordable housing to that state. The city has also worked with the Kingston Land Trust to begin to conserve lands in the open space priority area, including 20 acres of land at the Red Fox Ravine on Wilbur and 38 acres on Mason Hill. The city also prioritized surplus property conservation in 2023 to protect 12 acres of land along the Tofskill and Wilbur Ave. The purchase of this land was made possible with a contribution of $420,000, half the purchase price, by Scenic Hudson. Their next question was, I didn't find any other parties involved in decision, any parties involved, and I said there were no other parties involved in decisions regarding the property besides the city of Kingston.
Would that answer, like, if there were a land trust involved, would that go there? Or this means like current sort of owners of it?
I took this as, because they wrote such as co-owners, children, parents, and spouses.
Those are like people that would say they have.
Right, like, hey, I want that.
Right,
land.
right.
That's my dad's and it's been my family
Right.
forever. So it's a very different thing. And then again, this is a very different thing, like the city asking the board for funding versus like a parcel owner asking. But that's something that needs to be considered if this format were to be used. But I just inserted with their exact format. Then they go on to have a separate section, and this has a separate section called additional property information. So this is asking about the property itself. By the way, at no point did it ask for and nor did I submit to you all photos, maps, nothing. I was never solicited to do that in this format, nor did I.
Probably the longest.
So this says total acres of conservation parcels, 70, zoning designation if known. The zoning is T2 conservation to protect the integrity of existing land with low density detached homes, as well as areas of steep slopes and natural vegetation, and reinforce the role within the city. That's the definition of T2. Describe how the property is accessed or indicate if the property is landlocked. Example, property is accessed from a private driveway off of Butterville and Canam Road. That's their language, which is actually irrelevant. So you can see this Butterville Canam Road is nowhere, but 995 plus or minus feet plus 353 plus or minus feet on Route 23, 442 plus or minus feet on Rodney, 65 plus or minus feet on Burnett, and the dead end of Hamilton Street. Most of its Route 213 frontage is rock face or very steep, and its Burnett Street frontage is very steep. By stark contrast, its Rodney Street frontage is relatively buildable near the road before becoming very steep. More importantly, its Hamilton Street frontage allows access to its upper elevations via a series of unpaved switchback wood roads to the more level or rolling interior of its largest city parcel, 56.57-1-22.111. The next question was, describe the current use of the property. Says it's ag, vacant, commercial, residential. I said the current land use is vacant forest. 5, describe the prominent land cover type or types on the property: forest, ag, wetlands, floodplain, etc. And I said the land is 95% or more forested. Number 6, please note any liens, easements, rights of way, or any other issues affecting the legal status of the property. And I said an unknown. Circle the type of conservation project desired if known. If not known, circle unknown, and the commission will discuss options further with you. And I said land acquisition. By the way, none of those suggestions would really actually fit into this circumstance because the land has already been.
Right,
This is a reimbursement.
right,
Mhm.
yeah.
So that could be something I gotta think about it. Number 8, if use circle conservation easement above, has the land trust or third party been contacted, not required. If yes, identify the name of the land trust and contact information, said N. What is your desired timeframe for project completion? Now, this was another weird one because the project is technically already complete, but I filled in what I thought was appropriate. The city issued a public improvement serial bond for the purchase in August 2025. The first principal payment on the bond is due August 1st, 2026. If the CPF does not get approvals to pay the bond, the city has an annual total debt service of approximately $40,000 for 15 years. The city cannot prepay the debt service. The ideal timeline for getting approvals to the CPF would be as follows: repeatedly, annually, for 15 years. February 25th, submission to CPAB for consideration. That's today. February through May, CPAB reviews this submission. May 29th, I submit a communication, or Bert submits communication to the county council requesting for committee placement. June 20th, the council finance committee reviews the proposal. Then there needs to be a public hearing. And by the way, I have got all these questions answered by the clerk and court counsel and the comptroller's office, but the public hearing gets called by the common council. They can call it whenever they want to. Generally, for their purposes, it's normally needs to be within 10 days of a resolution, but that happens between the finance committee and the common council approval. There needs to be a public hearing. So by July 31st, there'll be a public hearing, July 7th, common council approval, and then the city bond would be reimbursed for 2026 only the day after it gets paid, which would be by August 1st. So let me give some more color in this. The city has a large bond, and there's lots of things in the bond, right? It's not just Kingston Wilderness. It's like Project A, Project B, Kingston Wilderness, Project C, Project D, all different things in this bond. So there's not just a bond for Kingston Wilderness. So the CPF can't just pay one bond. You're reimbursing for bond payments that would get paid. The portion of the Kingston Wilderness bond, there's an apportionment schedule. And every year for 15 years, we have to pay a percentage of principal that's due August 1st with 5% interest, which is due February 1st. More interest is due August 1st. And then there's total debt service annually of around $40,000, which adds up to $435,000 over 15 years. So there's no way right now that CPF can pay the full $435,000. Not even right now, ever. Not ever. You will pay it over, if you choose to pay it, it will be paid over 15 years. The most you can do is pay the $458,087 this year after we pay $4,558,87 on August 1st, and you would reimburse the $40,558.87. Meaning all of these steps would need to happen annually and say, okay, this year we're allocating $40,000, $40,418.04 to reimburse the city for the Kingston Wilderness portion of the bond that was paid this year. You cannot prepay.
Is that because it has to earn interest? Because it has to?
We aren't paying, we have to pay it at this apportionment schedule. The city does. And so we can't prepay off any part of the bond, is what I've been told by the comptroller. So I'm not asking you right now, and we'll get into this in a moment, I'm not asking you for $435,000 right now. I'm asking for 40, and next year we'll ask the exact same thing for 40 again.
So Julie, you're
Yeah.
indicating that there's no call feature on the bond. The bond cannot be called by the city.
I don't know what that means.
They redeem it early. It's usually stated in the bond. It's due on whatever date, maybe 2040, 2050, whatever it says. And then there's a call date that's much sooner, say 2030, 2028, or even today. It depends, you have to, yeah, you have to read the bond to see that. If there's, yeah,
Yeah.
but that's what
I
it
mean, the
sounds.
comptroller said that there's
saying.
no way to prepay it.
Yeah,
So there's no
problem.
one lump. The only way we could do that, and I did ask, I said, well, what if we just wanted, what if CP, this board just wanted to say, okay, we just want to get this off our chest and just give the city $435,000. And John said that there would be too much work involved in that because you'd have to set up a separate account and that would have to be held separately and then drawn from at the paid intervals. And then there would be issues with like holding that and doing all this other interest. It gets more complicated. So I'm gonna keep going and I'll ask more questions. I'll answer questions in the end maybe, or do you have questions specifically on that?
And you pointed to a certain amount and you said the only way we could do it is if we pay. Yes, so I'm confused when you say we could pay that amount, but you're also saying we can't prepay.
You can't prepay. So August 1st of this year, starting this year, 2026 is the first year. By August 1st, our comptroller, John Toohey, is going to wire the percentage of the full bond that needs to be paid to pay down the bond. The Kingston Wilderness portion of that is going to be $40,558.87, which he will pay. By the end of 2026, it would be great for this board to say, we will reimburse you for that $40,558.87 out of this fund.
Gotcha.
So, but it gets more complicated, so I'm gonna keep going. Describe any previous actions taken regarding the conservation project. Have you applied for grants, met with land trusts, met with developers? And I said, see number 5 above. Is that explained? Are there any exclusions or conditions necessary in order for the project to be completed? I said no, and I don't know under what circumstances that I would fill that out. I didn't know, that's a question you might want to think about. Are you able to contribute to the cost of the project? This is a question that gets weird for this specific situation, but I repeated exactly what I said before. The city issued a public improvement material bond for the purchase in August 2025. The first principal payment on the bond is due August 1st, 2026. The city pays the bond and would be reimbursed by the CPF after payment. If the CPF isn't used, the city will put the bill out of debt service for the bond. Debt service is a portion of the city's general fund. In 2026, debt service was 4.46% of the general fund. So just to give you perspective on that, there's like police, fire, parks, salaries, whatever, debt service. These are all parts of the general fund. And so debt service is 4.6% of that. If that goes up, the city, residents pay more on their taxes. So that's just something to consider.
And the debt service is
It's for paying off.
paying off these bonds?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, the next question was provide a summary of the most noteworthy conservation values. Something? It's like, this is how much I'm asking for. The parcels. I think I put in the wrong one. Darn it. All right, well, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm going to bring up the one on the screen that I intended to share. There we go. Even after all that, still did weirdly. Okay. All right. So we are going back to the beginning of this application because there is this section that I added and I think is valuable. All right, so we're back in the beginning. This is all the same, nothing's different, nothing's different, nothing's different. The reason is all the same. And then I added, because nowhere in here did it say, how much are you asking for?
Yeah, I noticed. We're gonna get to that.
We didn't get to that because it didn't exist. So I added, what is the projected value of the property? What is the requested amount? And this is where it gets complicated. Here's the column. The city purchased 70.075 acres of property. 11 of that is not in the city.
Oh,
It's in the town of Ulster, which means the CPF cannot pay for the town of Ulster properties. Is my understanding. Because when I read local law number 8, which sets up the fund, it says that it needs to be in the city. This is the question I have before Corporation Council, which is why no decision is going to be made tonight, because it's all just the beginning of a review. But this is my interpretation, and I have asked this question, is this going to be legal? So here's my understanding. Total purchase price of the portfolio was $840. We had additional fees of $15,000. Scenic Hudson paid $420. So the city bond that was taken out was $435. The only, in any of the work that's been done, the appraisal, the survey, any of the work to purchase this land, none of it articulated this property is worth X amount, and this property is worth X amount, and this property is worth X amount. So the only thing that I can think of to do, which I discussed with comptroller, but this is now Corporation Council in their hands to review, is take the full amount, which was $435 of the bond, and divide it by the number of acres, which was 70.075, which leaves us at $6,207.6345 was the cost of each acre. Town of Ulster properties are 11 acres. I multiply that times 11, so I'm taking out $68,283.98, meaning the total amount eligible for CPF funding would be $366,716.02.
So.
Everyone's still with me?
Back to the 40,000 figure.
Let's keep going. So
Right.
this was omitted from the printed version, but this is the tax parcels and this is the acreage of the sites. So this is number 1 on the additional property information. So you can see that 2 of the parcels, there's an 8.3 acre parcel and a 2.7 acre parcel that are in the town of Ulster. Okay. So, then going on, it says the addresses, it had me in their format, it had me do the parcel numbers on one section and then the addresses, but to me, it was more logical to do the parcel number, the acreage and the address together. So that's just something to consider if you choose to use a form like this.
So can I just say these,
Yep.
the questions are completely different. Does that mean?
That's because when I was doing this, because the one I sent to you yesterday and I redacted and then I went like an idiot, printing the wrong one again and sending it again. I added number 7
Right.
because it didn't exist and I was like, you gotta know how much I'm asking for.
Right.
And then these questions, on the second page, when I was reformatting, they accidentally got deleted. So the questions that you see here on the screen are the same questions that New Paltz has. This is an error on this printing one.
Oh, okay.
So nothing was,
So
this is the way it should look in the New Paltz one.
So these are the questions from the
Correct.
board, not these.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
All right, so total acres of karst conservation parcels, and I broke it down, 7.075, 59.075 are in Kingston, 11 in the town of Ulster. Then you'll see the part about the zoning, which isn't different than what I already read. The property access, which is not different. Number 6 is not different. Number 7 is not different. Number 8 is not different. Number 9 is not different. Number 10 is not different. Number 11 is not different. Number 12 is not different. Number 13 is not. Number 14 is not. So then there was a question, provide a summary of the most noteworthy conservation values. The property appraised as steep and rocky topography that rises steeply from its street frontages, making access into it very difficult, and no doubt a reason that it has remained undeveloped for hundreds of years. The zoning is T2C, Conservation Village Plan. The CVP is intended to protect open spaces and natural resources by clustering development and requiring a minimum 50% of the land to be dedicated to the T1 natural transit zone. A recent appraisal states the cost to construct the roads and utilities necessary for development of the property appraised are so excessive that it is not financially feasible to construct any buildings on it, and that its highest and best use is to remain mostly vacant and be used for recreation purposes. And then it said, please use the space below or append additional pages to provide any other information that you think we should know. And I said, please consider. And then there's a section that the board can fill out saying, this is the date we received it. Date application reviewed, date landowner contacted. I then added determination because somewhere it should be saying, what is the board determining, deciding?
Well, today, if I can jump in, we're just gonna determine whether we want to see full application. Since we don't actually have an application, the full application would be having our questions addressed. You know, so whatever they may be, whatever materials we want to see. But, Julie.
Yeah,
go
so,
on.
so I guess I don't have anything else to say except the bottom line of how this would get, how CPF would be used for this, and I'll just reiterate, is that sometime ideally, and this is coming right from our comptroller's office, ideally in the summer, you would be going to the common council to get the approvals, so that they would approve it to be reimbursing this year's debt service, the portion for just the wilderness property, which is 45,50,87, sometime between August and prior to.
Julie, I have a question.
Yep,
Are you apportioning the debt service between Kingston and Ulster? It
So
would look
that-
like you have to.
yep. So that is a question that I don't know the answer to, which is another reason why this won't be decided tonight. So I guess, I mean, I have to go back to corp counsel and, corp counsel and also the comptroller, but I guess there could be a couple things that are looked at. Either one, taking out of each one the portion that is town of Ulster and only paying that portion that is
Right.
Kingston,
That-
or
It's correct.
stopping by the time we get to the total amount that I calculated, which is the non-town of Ulster part.
I just wanna say right now, I understand your math.
Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna be accurate,
yeah,
reflective of the purchase price that you actually pay for the Kingston parcels. Because if the town of Ulster parcels had more buildable land, for example, they're gonna be worth more. Or maybe they're just cliffs and they're not buildable, it's gonna be worth a lot less.
Mhm.
So I don't think it's reflective of the actual purchase price. So that's an issue I would have with your application.
Hey, let's, before we open it up for discussion, whether we want to accept this application, because we have a pre-application. I just want to see if someone makes a motion to not accept the full application. Hopefully the deliberation, or you give a reason, will show why that is. Maybe Jen touched on it. So if someone makes a motion, like, we will not to accept this application, a full application, to just kind of leave it at it as is. I'm just saying maybe.
what would a
give
full
a reason.
application be that is not this?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
Just let me hear me out, so the voting is kind of ordered.
So you're asking someone to make a motion?
No, I'm not, I'm just going over how this can work. Yeah?
Mhm.
So if you make a motion against it, just, maybe state clearly why that is. Why we would not want to advance this to the full application stage.
Yeah,
Okay, yet.
because one of the things in Eli's thing was, do we have suggestions for them to resubmit?
Okay, so let's say we vote for a full application. Like we see this board recommending funding, okay? Full applicate, and we have, and the vote passes in favor, the motion carries to accept the full application. What a full application would be is having all these concerns addressed, like exactly what common council says, comes down with maybe a map, understanding accessibility, it could be a bunch of things. And then that would be the full application.
Can I just offer that if this were likened to the planning board reviewing a development,
Yeah,
maybe Kevin could speak to this, but I don't think there would be multiple levels of approval. There would be, hey, thanks for submitting this, we have more questions. Bring back more information at our next meeting, and then there's one vote total, once.
I can do it that way too, but that's fine with everyone.
This looks like,
a full application to me. Would a pre-application be more just like a, hey, I'm interested to learn more and like talk to you guys? Could it be like way later? Like, this is my idea? If
We have to come back.
Application will actually add on.
Yeah, no, then.
Yeah.
This is a full application.
I feel like it skips the.
Only thing additional might be a map.
When we talk about the
If
process,
there's anything, like you said, power,
Yeah.
yeah.
in our next agenda item, we can come back to that. What a pre-application looks like.
Yeah, so I feel like we skipped that step for this, which is fine, because we already.
Yeah, just
So
from
it
a
takes-
user's perspective, it took me hours to put this together, so if you're considering this a pre-application,
Yeah,
that's
no,
going to
this
be
is a lot.
too onerous for you.
I mean, just to go further with your question, well, one of the issues is that this is not actually our application. We have not adopted this.
It's a trial.
Yeah,
Right.
But we're looking to act on this, even though we're borrowing someone else's template.
I mean, because, you know, according to what we talked about in the last meeting, we're still trying to define our process.
And this is part of it. We're gonna entertain a project. We're gonna review a project and refine our process through that. And this is,
Okay, so when you say that, I'm under the impression that this is all a trial run and
Yes.
it's not like real.
it's a trial run and real. We're looking to eventually have a vote on whether to recommend funding.
but we're not ready for a vote, right? Because
We're not ready for a vote, but that vote could come next week. And we still don't have a proper application, but we're doing two things at once.
Yeah.
We're using this to see what's missing, what we could add, does this work, does this not work?
And no one here told me to use this form. I said, what's the format and how I can submit a proposal that's the most succinct? And I'm supposed to use this. You could come back to me and say, thanks, we're not using that standard format. Please use our format. You could say whatever you want to me.
As long as we deliberate and it's recorded and someone could look back and understand where we're coming from, we're all right. Whether we're using a temporary application or permanent application, or an application that's really a full application, even though we call it a pre-application. The information's been spelled out, it's for public records, we're recording our deliberation right now, so we're okay, it's not coming out of the blue,
So
it's all out there.
do we have time to review the application for next month?
Yes.
Also for today, should we come up with suggestions for Julie?
Mm-hmm, absolutely, that's where,
Complete the application, okay,
Yes.
so no vote today,
no vote today.
just suggestions for,
Yep.
great. What else do you want?
Can you send that debt service,
Exactly.
like the
First of all, we'll send the accurate.
accent accurate, that's
Well, I'll send the accurate application.
accurate application,
Debt service, I will ask if this is public information.
okay.
Could we see the appraisal?
Yep,
Yeah, does each
Yes.
parcel have an appraisal? Of the
no,
value?
there's appraisal of the full portfolio. And there's been no breakdown, there's no, to date, I have. If I were to need to get a value of each parcel. I don't know how I would do that. I do not have a value of each parcel.
You can engage an appraiser to get you that?
To take what I could, to go back to my appraiser and say,
Could you break this down by parcel for me? Is that something we can pay for with the CPF too?
yeah, but the appraised value isn't the ultimate value that we paid. We paid, well, because then there's all the closing costs and everything else.
Yeah, it's a lot of math, but it would be really great to see the breakdown, just so we know because, maybe you guys could get more from us if the town of Ulster parcels are not worth that much, or vice versa. A bummer.
Was Town of Ulster involved in this? Like, did they have any skin in the game?
Skin in the game from,
Like,
yes, were they involved? Yes.
But they don't owe any money. They don't,
Not owe anyone.
They're-
We bought it from the owner happened to have parcels in the town of Ulster.
okay, so it's not like they're gonna be repaying some of the debt, it's just like, we will cover what we can cover potentially, and then the rest just doesn't get covered.
Correct.
Doesn't get paid back by,
Yes.
okay,
So I will look into the question that you're asking.
So what is that question again?
It's whether for appraiser could get evaluation of the parcels just in Kingston. So we can figure out the exact amount that they owe the Kingston.
So we
Parsons.
may need the survey as well.
Both surveys are good, yeah.
Yeah. The thing I think we're looking at on the survey, yeah, I mean, that'll show the town of Ulster parcels for sure, but I think what we're looking at are the lands that are held privately, like the Tanya Garment parcel and access to it, how that works. And I have thoughts on that, but let's not go there right now in the interest of time.
So far, just for clarity, send, I guess, the corrected version of the application. If possible, the debt service schedule, you'd like to see the appraisal and along with an evaluation of the parcel just in Kingston, survey. And hopefully we'll get a determination from the corporate council on how to account for the money.
Awesome.
I have a question.
And how would you like me to share this with all of you? Because it's not gonna be able to be shared via email. It's just can't, they can't handle that amount of space.
Okay. Should we come down here?
Do you have a Google Drive? I can do it in a Google Drive.
Okay.
So,
Was
The scenic Hudson portion that they paid, was that earmarked for any specific part of that sale?
Or any
Like
restriction.
only the, were the restrictions, like it couldn't go towards the survey or the closing costs, it could only go towards land or anything?
They paid for half of the purchase price and half of all of the, closing costs and due diligence.
Okay.
Like, and they, well, I can share a breakdown of that.
So could that be considered that they paid for the town of Ulster part? I think it would need to know a value on that, but could that,
Like, it's not that issue, but can we pay for due diligence with the CPAP? Do we want to do that for every application? It takes some of the burden off of whoever's purchasing, but are we allowed to legally?
I thought that was the case, but if you look
Got
at
it
it,
here.
look at the law.
Like, how far do due diligence go?
Right, it really.
So we're looking at the breakdown between what Scenic Hudson paid and what we paid? Numbers,
Those half, but I wasn't sure. Cause some of their grants only go towards the purchase price of the property. And some of their grants do cover some due diligence, so that's why I was asking, like, what are the restrictions on their funds that they gave?
how does this relate to what we're,
Because the question, so there are a couple questions at hand. One is, can CPF pay for due diligence? Meaning, can the CPF pay for the survey, the appraisal, the environmental, the title, all of those things? Or can it only pay for the land? So that's a question I will find out. And then the other question is, if Scenic Hudson paid $420,000, which they did, who's to say that they didn't pay for the town of Ulster?
right?
Right.
Then we don't have to get them approved.
But how would I find out that is?
Do you have a
Because there's no
contract?
answer, that's not an answer, that's,
Right,
they paid half.
Do you have a
they paid half
contract
of the
with them?
total.
The contract.
Typically, they'll send a contract.
Yeah, I guess, yeah,
So if they,
but it's not going to say, it's going to say we're paying half of the half of.
which then the
Well,
math
that
that you
is
already
like-
did, right, then the math that you already did is
We
correct,
can't then
but-
say that we're going to,
Right.
but they're paid for the town of Ulster part,
right.
did not pay for half of every part.
Right, so then we still have to get the appraisal.
Right.
This is good, this is helpful, to, like run through a project
Mhm.
and see like what this process would be and what questions you have.
What else do you wanna know? Did you wanna map, did we want to compare it to your map?
I mean, I assume it's listed on the map, but
It should be on the map, I think all the parcels are up there, but to double check that, make sure that all. the
yeah, just want a map just for like documentation purposes. Be like, we did our due diligence.
I mean, personally, I like maps, but you know,
well, it's gonna be a matter of public record, so when someone looks through it, a map will be helpful.
What kind of map do you want?
Just a map of this, of the parcel itself and the surrounding area in Kingston. can be simple, so people understand what they're looking at, they know the property boundaries, and maybe even access points, yeah, if they're established.
And then
No,
I'd love to see it on your map too.
Yeah.
So.
But what,
and isn't there something like it has to have a score, that natural resource score, a minimum score?
Which is, right,
Yeah.
it's
On
just
the-
anything that's not zero,
Right,
which we already know it has.
but do we need, that is nowhere reflected in this?
Right.
Which also you may not, I mean, a person may not know, but at some point that needs to
Our
be proven.
Right, yeah, we could link to the,
if you were using this type of form, you could do that in this
In that section.
What is the CPF score of the property?
with a link to your.
That should be something that I should have to figure out.
You think?
Well,
Yeah, put it on the,
think-
board. That's the board for the applicant.
Yeah, I think that's a good one, we should do that, yeah.
Yeah,
Like a random person would be.
I wouldn't, I mean, as a random person, I wouldn't be able to do that.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have to do that as the applicant.
yeah, the
What was the applicant? I thought you meant as.
No, it's the applicant, I shouldn't have to figure out what the score is.
No,
Because I could say 30, and you guys would be like, okay.
yeah,
So you know, that's.
so
That's
we need
us
to
in our
look at the
determination
map
section.
and have a place where we can notate on there or something like, or maybe that's in the pre-app.
Okay.
That it may,
Okay.
to ensure that it meets that criteria.
So before we move from this, I need to understand what, so you can't just say, I need a map, because I could be giving you a topo map, a parcel boundary map, a habitat
I'd love to
map,
see-
a whatever, like I have a million map. I need to
You
know what
mentioned
type of map.
You mentioned the steep cliffs, I'd love to see a topo map. And then also maybe just like imagery to see the forest covered.
And you want a parcel boundary map.
I think parcel boundary map is the minimum
Which the survey will have.
which the survey will have. Because not all, like this one, we would probably come back and say, oh, we'd love to see the topo map. But if it's, for a small little future park in the park desert area, we're not gonna ask for a topo map, right? It's just,
Quarter of an acre.
right, it's just, show us the map of where you want your playground to be.
Yeah, so maybe we just ask for a map and then we
Like
find what we need.
a parcel map and then we
Based on-
define
It's
what's.
something we can get on the Ulster County parcel.
Right, yeah,
Just-
not everybody knows how to do that either, so.
Yeah.
We might be making some of those maps for people. If it's a homeowner, they're not gonna necessarily know how to.
Right.
I just want to say, getting back to Kevin's point, is there just a way you can confirm whether this is a callable bond or not? I'm just
Callable?
callable, like. We're basically, if we pay it like the 40,000 3 years in a row, and then we would just want to pay it off.
I was told that
That's not possible.
because you can't pay it off. Because the city is not, the city is paying it in installments. I'll get in writing why we can't prepay.
Okay, just,
In that regard, Julie, there's an identifying feature to these bonds called a CUSIP number. And there's a website called Emma where you can look these bonds up. It's a lot of it, there's a lot of public information, but not everything is public. So that would be a way to identify it with a CUSIP number.
Which then comes back to a point you made last month about not spending all of the fund on one thing. It allows us to pay a portion and keep other projects.
Yeah.
It's very,
It actually.
And then
is-
it's worst case one that we don't pay you for that year.
That actually asks that question a lot.
yeah, because it's just taking a little portion.
So I'm passing out some documents I got from Kara. I don't know if she also these, but this was about their process that she had given to me, so you guys can look them over and see if it informs what we're doing here. And another question I had is, you said just one of the questions was inadequate. Circle the type of conservation project desired if not known, certain unknown, and the commission will discuss options further with you.
Right, so it technically is a land acquisition. Because the city acquired the land, however, the action that you all are doing is not a land acquisition, you are doing a reimbursement of a bond.
So is that something we want to take into consideration?
Well, you said the corporate counsel said it was okay.
It's okay, yes.
Oh, so, all right.
Oh, I'm not saying whether it's okay,
that-
I'm
yeah.
talking about the accuracy, of what it is we're evaluating or
Right,
asking.
so should we add like?
You can ask other,
Yeah.
But are you saying should we be doing that, should the board be doing that at all?
No,
just not the
Oh.
whole.
I'm just,
Accurate.
yeah, I'm just making sure.
I mean, that could be a one-off that will never happen again, but it also could be the
But
case, but it does.
right,
does
that's
happen.
the question, like, moving, would we reimburse a private individual for some sort of purchase?
Why don't you just?
Or if I move forward again and get a grant or just like have an opportunity to buy something and buy it, and then I'm like, okay, after the fact, I wanna come to CPF to reimburse it.
I like the
Add
other,
other,
with like other described.
right,
Yeah.
slash trip, because eventually we're gonna have historical added into this list too, right?
Yeah.
So,
But the historical would be qualified, like
Right.
interior mechanical
right,
repairs.
but for now, if we have other and someone applies, they could, if they apply and put in that, then we can know a little bit about, like, they do have it's not that it's unknown, they have an idea. None of this follows it, so for now, we could just have other and describe.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, when we, on our next agenda item, when we talk about, the process, and we'll be doing this over the next few months. Going over the list that Eli did, I wish he was here, I said thank him, and that Kevin, worked on as well. But, are we good?
Well, when do you want all this by?
Oh, do you want the vote, the vote from this board would have to be latest April, right?
That's,
May,
Or May?
is the timeline I'm proposing.
But
When,
it has to be by the end of the year,
No,
yes.
yeah.
Correct.
But we need to vote whether to approve.
And
By
further,
May,
per my recommended timeline, you
Right.
can have that voted at the May meeting.
the May meeting, so,
so maybe after we continue to go through what's missing and what more we wanna add to the process, then we can get back to you on, what you need to bring or what you need to add to your application, to make it more full for us.
no, I don't know that. I want to Julie needs to move on this right away to gather all the information, so I'm thinking April, can you get a lot of this stuff?
Get this stuff by the next meeting. I was actually wondering if you needed it, how far in advance of the next meeting?
Oh,
We
even
next
better.
started.
I mean, not if I have to do another appraisal, but like the bulk of this stuff, I could do it right now while we're sitting here. I have it.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah. We get it at least a week before.
At least a week, yeah, sounds good. Like,
So that's something else to consider also, is that like, again, with the planning board, this type of submission, whatever it is through their system, they have a deadline before the meeting, so that it's not sitting here being like, I didn't get a chance to see this yet. So like, that's something else, like, this would be due by 5 business days before, or 7 business days before, or 10 business days before, or whatever.
That would be great. I'd love to have a chance to review things before being in the meeting and looking at it for the first time.
like the Wednesday prior to, like a week,
Mhm.
you get all this stuff. And then we'll see if we're ready to act on it in the March meeting. If not, carries over to the April meeting. Yeah, as far as the May, so.
So I will get it to you, or into a drive, which I will share by March 18th.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds wonderful. Let's move on. I'd like to share my screen.
Oh, and I should have said this when we were doing the modifications to the agenda, but I don't have anything related to the volunteer gardening museum. So that does not need to be taken into consideration in this meeting.
Do you think that's over, or do you think we might hear something still?
I don't know the answer to that. I think that that Suzanne maybe got some money approved to do like a short-term fix, but not long-term. So I will follow up with her, but I don't have anything right now.
Let's start the solidifying whole application process. It's based on the wonderful work that you've done. Well, I know we talked about what a pre-application would look like. And I think it's a lighter document.
Much later, yeah. Shouldn't take someone too long to fill out the pre-application, I think.
So the way that Eli was doing it, he started to delegate tasks. Or it's we're, not him delegating, we figure it out ourselves. We're, I guess the first is, who would design the pre-application?
Not like one of us volunteer.
Hmm.
Oh, I can take a stab at it.
All right.
I think weren't we asked to look at all of this and make comments if we think something was missing and if we actually want to do this process here? Is that?
That's, yeah,
Okay.
that's where we're. He spelled out a bunch of things for us.
Okay, I just thought we were gonna go through that first before we start us assigning people to actually do stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna go through it all, and then, but we'll know who,
You mean
So
look
the
at
entire board
comments?
thinks that you should have a pre-application is the question?
Is this the process?
Yeah.
Are we all in agreement that this is the process?
Do we, yeah, maybe let's go through the document first.
okay, we'll do that.
I like a pre-application, I think that's nice, just like establish.
Brief overview of what,
And worst case scenario, we're like, sorry, you can't fund this, and then the person
Right.
doesn't have to spend hours doing the application. So it would be a go, no go pre-app. I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to see if they're qualified, I guess.
All right, nothing more than a screening tool.
yeah,
And what would that have that isn't on this? Like how much, what are the littlest amount of information you need to do it go, no go?
Right, I try to figure like, what is the parcel number? Very brief overview of the project, the purpose, the type of project, and then contact information, right? And then we can determine if it has a score, if it meets our criteria. And then we can ask for all this other information.
yeah. We'll have to have the street address, because a lot of people don't know how to find their parcel number.
The street address for,
And we can always confirm, like, it's. You sure this is the parcel you're talking about?
yeah,
And who, and that would go to who? That would be submitted to who?
I think, yeah, the question was also if all of us needs to be involved in that first step.
did we deputize a couple of people to do that first step? To screen?
Well, who would the applicant, where would the application be and who would it be submitted to? Before you even say who's going to review it, you need to figure out who's going to literally accept it.
I mean, Adobe, because like on the full application, it had an address. I assume most people are gonna be emailing,
Yeah.
right? So,
Unless you dictated that's not an option.
right, but especially with a pre-application that's not gonna have a ton of documents, seems like
A pre-app could be a
It needs to get-
form.
emailed, yeah.
It could be a very simple.
And it's gonna live on the city website, is that correct?
That's what I assume, yeah, like a form on the website that goes to you, Julie? That would be the simplest.
What if they run that? In terms of collection.
Who goes,
And then you just
this,
forward it to one of
And
us.
then, right, what would I do with it? Would it wait until the next meeting? Would the deputized people be told, hey, you got an application? Would it be rolling? Would it be any time?
well,
I'd say yes, but is there any objection to that?
To, yes, to it,
It's rolling,
to rolling,
or,
Yeah, as of right now.
yeah, maybe if we get overwhelmed, then we start setting dates.
Mhm.
Right.
and because we don't have to, like, we don't because we're not beholden to like allocating a certain amount in a calendar year. Yes, no, correct. So it's not like we have to make all our decisions by the end of the calendar year. So it can't be, but yeah, it may get chaotic if we're having to keep going back to council. Now we have another one, now we have another one, now we have another one, versus like grouping them all together, but
But we might get no applications now.
yeah.
Maybe see how the first year goes.
Mhm.
Do it rolling this year.
That sounds good. I think rolling for the first year.
Cool. Okay, so form on the website, rolling, goes to Julie, and then Julie sends it to whole group or a couple of folks that we choose.
I think everyone should see it, even if there's only a couple people who are actually moving it forward or decide, like, I think for privacy and everything, we should all see it.
I agree.
So. Okay.
I think
Yeah.
what it comes down to is the scoring system that we develop after receiving the application, so that person who does the first pass scores it. So we need to come up with the criteria for the.
Right, and we have that like general thing that we had worked on before, which is great, but we haven't attached any of the kind of scores. I worry that if it just goes to the full board, we're gonna spend a lot of time talking about it and not a lot of time like being like, yes, we want this project or no. Like, who's gonna make that decision? Do we make that as a board or? Basically, and like who's gonna sit down?
It also could be just
score it?
me saying, does it have, did they submit, does it have a score in CPF?
Mhm.
That
Is
seems
it-
like
does
very
it- Is
illustrative.
it in the city of Kingston?
Right.
Does it have a score? And then I don't know if there's anything about like,
Is it eligible?
does the person own it or whatever, the person, is there like a actual, can we deal with this entity? It's not like
Right.
the neighbors proposing their
Right.
neighbors.
I mean, that could be something that I would do, which could be, does it have a score? Is it eligible for CPF? And is it in the city of Kingston?
Right.
And
And
then,
then if it gets through that, like, can it even be used?
Mhm.
Then it gets,
Then it comes to us, this is
The
an
criteria,
eligible,
I don't know, the way your name, that the criteria sounds very low.
that's just for the pre.
Which sounds to me like we're still gonna get all these applications anyway.
yeah, I mean, if it's more than that, then the pre-app would have to have more questions on that. Yeah, what is the threshold for even consideration? Wouldn't it just be, does it have a number?
Yeah,
Do
And is it
we,
in Kingston?
do we want any sort of monetary like what they're asking for on this? Cause if they're asking for $2 million.
But some folks might not know.
They're not gonna know, I don't know that anyone would actually.
Okay,
I think that's something the board has to decide. when They
Okay.
see. They see their budgetary issues.
So are we saying then that Julie does the?
I'm not saying, that I'm not trying to dictate like how you do your operations, but I'm saying like that could be, it could be a very simple, I just look up, is there a number? Like, is it? But if the threshold is higher, then probably should have someone from the board doing it. Objective, yes, or like, without me using any subjectivity.
right.
If it's objective, I'm happy to do that. If it becomes subjective, then it should be the board doing it.
Mhm.
If all your questions are objective and it's literally just me checking like eligible, then that's fine happening through the step, through me as a step.
Well, then it sounds like, okay, eligible, and then eligible goes to, all the eligible applicants goes to a certain one of us on the board to,
Mhm.
yeah, like review it a little further and maybe ask for a full application, so.
Mm-hmm.
So we're saying the pre-app passes through Julie and comes to us, then the whole board will sit down and evaluate.
I'm still trying to figure out, I mean, again, if the criteria is very low and it seems like every application pretty much passes Julie's criteria, then it doesn't, that step almost doesn't make sense because it doesn't take any work off our plates. So therefore, I'm still thinking that there should be another level. It should be like Julie,
And then like a couple of folks from the board.
right?
Okay, who like further evaluate.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, I think that's a good idea. I like the idea of like deputizing like a couple of folks.
Yeah, and I think keeping in the is it eligible step is good because if it gets to you and then you're having to come back to me to be like, can you figure out if this is eligible or whatever? I mean, I have to be that person, but, you know.
I think that's helpful, just like. get rid
To
of the
weed
things
out
we
the
don't
ones that are
Yeah.
Think
eligible,
about, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
as long as it's all documented, because if somebody complains, you're like, well, it didn't meet.
So maybe I'll draft the pre-application with all of that, so Julie can make the first determination, but maybe I'll ask a little bit more information as well, so the next screening can like make a better decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess we also have to think about what happens if they are ineligible. Does that mean Julie sends back this blanket email?
Right.
Says, you know,
Yeah.
And is there a point, so after, if they pass the eligibility test and then it comes to a person, does a contact, like, does a phone call happen or, you know, something like that to just sort of gauge their interest? Are they willing to fill out this huge application? You know, like, I feel like that could also be a part of that before bumping to the full application phase, is that initial conversation with. And one of my comments that I made on here is like, where is all this information being held? Like, there needs to be a place where it's like, we got this, you know, got the application, eligibility screening done or not, you know, where, like, what kind of spreadsheet or whatever is, where is that being held? So that one is, because it has to be public information, does it?
That's a good question that I would find out. And I'm happy doing all that and if we want to do the Google Drive. And I'm happy putting together spreadsheets of like date, application received, application number, pre-app, is it eligible? You know,
Yeah.
I'm fine tracking all.
Okay, because, and then, yeah, just making sure we're following up on everything and. Yeah, so I would just wanna emphasize, I think after the eligibility screening, there's contact made.
But that could be me saying, thank you for your submission. Your site is eligible for consideration. We invite you to now, complete the full application, which can be found at X. And then,
But I'm saying before that, it should be like a member of the board will be contacting you about next steps.
Yeah, it should be city staff, I remember.
To do a screening?
To get more information, yeah, I mean, it sounds like if we are choosing to go to, like, choosing a couple people from the board to do this pre-screening after Julie does. I agree that they should make contact with the person applying to get more information, to answer maybe some preliminary questions that those people from the board can then bring to the full board, and we can talk about. And then see if we want to invite them
Before the
to do
application.
a full application.
Okay, let's go.
So if we did that, my only question is what are we attempting to determine with that phone call?
right,
So.
that wouldn't be in the full application or the pre-app.
Well, it's so, right,
I mean,
this coming from a land trust world, we do this a lot where, you know, just like calling the person to be like, do you understand what this fund is? Do you understand the due diligence required for this project? No, you're shaking your head.
I am, I'm sorry, I mean, but I'm come from it from the government world where I'm the point of contact for the Farmland Protection Board. It's not the vineyard owner down in Wallkill. Like, he'll sign, he may sign a letter to the legislature, but all the contact comes from the Ulster County Planning Department. It could get tricky if members of this board here are now dealing directly with the
I
applicants. It's,
I wouldn't be comfortable emailing the applicants from any of my personal emails, work emails, anything like that. I would want to have like a separate city email that we could be using, but not something, yeah.
I mean, we are members of this board, so that gives us, you know, so we're
Right.
official in that way.
Right.
And I'm not sure that
She
she's saying she's gonna use her personal email to reach out to.
Or even King County, or work.
What about a
I
phone?
wouldn't be.
I would call.
no, hear me out. It's-
Okay, we want to hear you out, but I also want to hear out these other folks before we just say, no, we're not doing that. I mean, I want to hear everyone and make a determination of whether this makes sense or not.
Yeah, I hear where you guys are coming from, where you want to do like official channels. But I also think that we need to talk to the applicant, and we can't put all this work on Julie. It's my concern that we're giving her a lot of tasks right now. She already has a full-time job. So if we could take on some of that work, I think that'd be helpful. Is where I was coming from and gathering information, so Julie doesn't have to constantly be reaching out to like ask this person questions for us.
How would you make that communication and have it be not tied to you personally?
Could we make a shared email address for the group or use the official Zoom to have this like a one-on-one Zoom with the person? Those options for us.
I didn't get a chance to make my entire case, and I'm talking from experience. Here, if there's gonna be an official email saying that your application is ineligible, it should come from the city of Kingston.
We agree.
If there's an email that says you move on to the next step, it can come from the city of Kingston.
We agree.
Okay. If you get awarded, if we recommend something from, this board recommends your project for funding. If you want, you can write a letter, send it snail mail. And you can mail it, and the chair, it's typically the chair of the said board.
We agree that's possible.
Yes, that's
But there are steps in between.
Yeah, we agree fully with that. All official correspondences should be through official means.
But I could, once I have the eligibility, so someone submits a form, I can go through, say yes, eligible, boom. I can email the person back and say, thank you for your submission. A representative of the Community Preservation Advisory Board will be reaching out to you to communicate with you about the next steps. And then I can set up cpab@kingston-ny.gov, so whoever is using it
Okay,
would come from that email. And so any official determination of eligibility, your funding has been approved, whatever, that can all come from me. But the due diligence can happen through one of you, and I can set up an official email so that we don't have to have it come from like Jen Adams at
that's good.
AOL.com.
Yeah.
Which is my email.
Advertise.
It's no, but I mean, it's just. It's best for official channels, and if people are talking, members of the board are talking with other applicants, we need to like know who's doing that. Because it's,
Well, I don't think anything's gonna happen. That's when it's like everything needs to be documented, but I don't know, I just feel like there should be some sort of human contact.
Well, that,
And what if
like,
there's
this helps if there's basically, we need a map. You say there's clips, we would like to see it. Or we need, more information about,
Or can you
What is
clarify this?
and to clarify,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Or are you familiar with what is eligible and what is not, like, before you do that?
It's to the point where we would like you to come and talk to the whole board about this.
Yes.
Can you make a meeting?
And so my experience with Red Hook, I did talk to the head of their CPF board directly through email. Rather than city staff or town staff. So it was fine, no big deal.
If I were to set up an email though, it would have to be assigned to certain people. That would have access to.
And maybe that's rotating.
And then, yeah, and maybe that's where the deputization comes in and
Yes.
maybe that's where like every few months we change who that is or every few projects or whatever.
okay. We're getting to the end. We'll continue this.
Is there going to be forum at the work meeting? March 25th.
I'll be there.
Needs to be.
Yep.
It should be okay.
Okay, no communications to the forum. No reports or updates, does anyone want to give? No? So is there a motion to, huh?
The only thing I was gonna mention is, I took Kara, your decision tree and also made a document that, accompanies this document that, I prepared from Eli's, decision tree and flow chart. So, that's something to be aware of. Over in the, if you go scroll down on that a little bit to the right side, you'll see some, I made at least one comment to that effect.
Oh, okay.
Aware, we're not looking at the whole
Yeah, I see
there.
it right now.
Yeah, now that would, we don't have time for this right now, but that leads you over to scoring and all sorts of other matters that Kara had brought up previously with a decision tree. So that's
Okay.
where that resides for the moment until you guys make a decision to do something different.
I use the decision tree to help, analyze the pre-application. We have an organizational partner, it's a bunch of criteria within those. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Unanimous. Meeting ends 9:35. 9:30.
Six. Yeah, don't use that clock on the wall. It's off by a couple of minutes. It always has been.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay. Oh, by the way, I found the parts of the survey. I looked at it, so my question is answered.
Okay,
Or, yeah,
all
we
right,
can
good luck
do-
with the snow.
yeah, okay. Yo, oh, please.